Hey gang, Dr. G, the Imaginarium. Imagine a world where everyone has high self esteem. Everyone everywhere thinks, I'm great. Wouldn't work, would it? So now I can hear you out there already. You might say, well, but Dr. G, actually, it would work. It might work in a society where consumerism is the primary value and everyone is pretty much separated from one another. It might work, but the problem is we don't really have a world like that, and we didn't evolve in a world like that. And so for the most part, for most of us, some more than others, we worry about, am I a good person? Am I a decent person? Or you might even get overwhelmed with thoughts like, I'm a terrible person. I have poor self-esteem, right? So that's gotten into the psychobabble of our collective consciousness. And so people sometimes will say that. So what do we do about that? Right? How do we fix it? That's everybody's talking about how their self-esteem is so low, but we don't talk about it enough. Is what do you do about it? How are you supposed to fix it? And I'll tell you right now, the answer that you usually hear is garbage. The usual answer that you hear to this is to just look deep within, look inside yourself, find it within your heart. Okay, well, what does that really mean? The problem is it's so vague and so romanticized and so cliche that in the real world, when people are trying to deal with this stuff, they have no idea what they're doing. So, if you think about this from the imagination, like I frequently do, what I see is people misusing the imagination to try to fix this. They will get lost in ego fantasies. They will use fantastical narratives, which are in huge abundance these days, and get lost in them as a type of drug, as a way of imagining themselves as powerful and amazing and stupendous. But the problem is that being powerful and stupendous is not really what makes you a good person. It might make you effective, it might make you powerful, it might make you able to do what you want to do. But there's a part of the mind that says, yeah, but that's not really it. No, that's not it. Nevertheless, because we don't talk about it anywhere near enough, the answer to the question of how do I make myself better? How do I feel better about who I am? The answer that we're typically given nowadays in the popular culture in the Western world is to look better, to stay young forever, to make more money, and be stupidly famous. Now, does that really satisfy the soul? No. Just take my word for that. It doesn't. Um, so instead, what I'm going to suggest to you is a way in which you can attack low self-esteem that does not involve cliches. It does not involve our collective values of narcissism and endless consumerism and all of that kind of thing, because none of that really satisfies. You've got to ask yourself, what does a good person do? Okay, don't ask the question, what is goodness? What is a good person? Because you're just going to end up lost in these sort of vague, abstract discussions. So what do you want to do then? Is you want to take an inventory of the things that you feel like a good person does in their life, given what they can do. And then you make it as concrete as possible. You make it as clear and well defined as you can. Don't get lost in, well, I just tried, a good person tries to do good. That ain't going to cut it. What does that mean? Do good how? Where? When? Why? And with what? Uh, and then keep going with this. Don't stop. Keep going. Get specific. Then, once you've got your list, right, and each person gets to create their own list, right? That's the part of this game that everybody likes. You get to make up the rules. Now, it usually winds up being the same kinds of things on this list, but that's okay. So then you take a look at that and you ask yourself, okay, so what of these things am I doing and what am I not doing? And if there is something on there that you're not doing, ask yourself why, and be fair with yourself here. Don't just say, well, I just don't want to, or oh, I just can't. All right? Don't let yourself off the hook with a quick and easy answer like that. There may be a very legitimate reason why you're having an aversion to doing whatever the thing is. And you need to explore that feeling and try to figure out, what is that really about? Okay. And then you hit what I've talked about in other videos, which is the is it worth it question. And again, only you can say whether it is or is not. Keep doing this. Ask yourself every day. Much of this will typically wind up involving how you treat other people, shockingly enough. And I think the reason why that conversation comes up so much is because we're so disconnected as a society that it's just not really in the zeitgeist that much. We don't really think about that much. We're constantly being told that we have to live our own way and go our own path and do our own thing and all that stuff ad nauseum. And so we're not really asking ourselves, okay, what am I doing for other people? Now, the overextenders out there that are listening to this will roll their eyes or, have an aversion maybe to that, because yes, that is also another thing that people do. They overdo in these categories, in which case then the question is, how much is enough? Okay. Write that down, because you're going to have to ask yourself that many, many times. If you're one of those people that overextends themselves, then you need to have a long, hard conversation with yourself about how much is enough. And again, you get to decide, only you. Now, once you do this exercise enough, you won't feel the need to get lost in fantastical ego fantasies about, being stupendously powerful and wonderful and amazing and all that kind of thing, because you'll feel secure in what you're doing. And I'm not going to say that you're going to reach an endpoint at which you've achieved great self-esteem. It's an ongoing process. It's an everyday thing. So do this exercise. Find out what you feel is valuable in your terms of actions. Take an inventory about what those things that you do that are on that list. Now, if you do all the things on your list, well, congratulations. You've got great self-esteem, because you've achieved those things that you just said were what makes you a good person. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. On the other hand, if there are things that you don't live up to in terms of your own expectations, ask yourself why. Why is that? You have the power to change that, but you're not. And there's probably a good reason for that, actually. So it's probably an inner conflict, and it's probably a challenge that you might be having with yourself. So these are the things that are going to actually work to help you improve your self-esteem, if you feel it is low, in a way that doesn't just involve endless navel gazing and getting lost in la la land.